All right, so we are going to start out with a Jotaxian Probe. We'll see the 6th card that Eric kept. It is going to be a Duress, an LED, a Duress, a Ponder, a Preordain, and 1 Volcanic Island. So he can't take the Duresses, can't protect his combo pieces. He can't really take the cantrips. Maybe he just goes with the LED.
Oh, no, this is a Jotaxian Probe.
Oh, this is, oh gosh, it's the other way to understand. He's not going to take any of them.
He's not taking anything. He's just looking.
He's going to lose his cards.
He is just a tourist right now.
Okay, hold on. To be fair, there are no, there is no black mana in Eric's hand, so those Duresses are a little dead right now.
Yeah, he does have a Preordain and a Ponder, so he could dig for black sources. So it's actually a pretty good mulligan for him. He has 2 discard spells, and as long as Dylan doesn't have like a really hyper-aggressive start, he's going to be okay. But it looks like Dylan does, in fact, have that kind of start. He's got turn 2 show and tell.
And that's, after looking at Eric's hand, that's something I would really want in Dylan's hand. Eric can't Duress until turn 2 because of the fact he doesn't have black mana. And Eric doesn't really have the ability to make a turn 2 or turn 3 combo, or it's very unlikely with that hand. So if Dylan could just turn 2 show and tell out an Emrakul, that could be good enough.
Well, no, but the thing about that, though, is it doesn't kill Eric right away. So Eric can still go off even through an Emrakul attack because he doesn't need that much mana.
Permanence.
Yeah, so as long as he doesn't commit too many LEDs into play, and he won't lose them to the Annihilator trigger, he still should be okay.
All right, so we see a Volcanic Island into Preordain for Eric. Yeah, what a strange matchup. He's like, yeah, well, he can take an Emrakul hit. He'll be fine. He's got another turn to work with.
So it looks like he's going to keep both cards, and did he? Yeah, it looks like he drew a land. So if Dylan does go for the show and tell on his turn, Eric will be able to play the land, so he'll have access to another mana, and then if he draws a land, he'll have another mana. So I think he's probably just going to have to go for it at that point.
Yep, show and tell, turn 2 on the play from Dylan. This is about as fast as Sneak and Show gets outside of multiple Lotus Petals.
Yeah, so there's my land. Okay, oh, wow. So he drew a Grizzlebrand for the turn, it looks like. I think he just had an Emrakul. Now Grizzlebrand is huge because it allows him to draw multiple cards and just get into a second Force of Will.
Now this is the start that Eric has to be concerned with. If it was just Emrakul there, I would think Eric would be fine. But Grizzlebrand poses a lot of different problems.
Yeah, so at this point, Eric is really in a tough spot here. Dylan basically has a Force of Will in his hand, plus the ability to effectively draw 14 cards here if he chooses. So Ponder from Eric. I think Dylan's okay with letting that resolve. He really just wants to counter probably a ritual effect here.
Yeah, Eric will have to start, if he wants to combo off this turn, he'll have to start a ritual chain, and to just probably counter the beginning of that ritual chain will cost Eric a turn.
Yeah. So Eric's pondering here. It looks like he does have a land in that top 3, so if he chooses, he could get that land and get another mana into play here, but yeah, he's in a tough spot here. There's really not much he can do. I don't think he can fight through Grizzlebrand Force of Will. It's just not many decks can do that.
There is something to consider. If Dylan, Dylan's not necessarily going to hit a Force of Will off these Grizzlebrand activations.
No, but he has one in his hand already. That's the problem.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, he'll probably hit a blue card.
Yeah, I agree with you. So Grizzlebrand alone might not be enough, but Grizzlebrand plus Force of Will already in your hand is usually going to be good enough. Particularly just because Eric doesn't even have that much going on just yet. He has a Lion's Eye Diamond. If he naturally draws the Tendrils, that could be actually pretty good because Dylan's likely going to go down to 9 this turn.
Yeah, well, he'll get to go back up to 16 if he gets an attack in. But you're right, if he has to activate multiple Grizzlebrand activations in order to find the spells he needs to find, there's a chance that Eric can just burn him out with a Tendrils.
Yeah, so it's really a question of whether or not how aggressive Dylan is with the Grizzlebrand this turn, and whether or not Eric can actually naturally draw into his Tendrils. Because I don't think he's going to be able to actually kind of go off with Ad Nauseam or do something with Inferno Tutor, because obviously Dylan can just Force of Will the Inferno Tutor with the Lion's Eye Diamond ability on the stack.
All right, so the fetch there is for Underground Sea. And that hand full of disruption that Eric had, these Duresses, really, the Grizzlebrand has turned off that aspect of Eric's deck. It's really hard to Duress out a player who has a Grizzlebrand.
Yeah, so here we're going to see a Brainstorm here. And,
right.
Yep, Brainstorm is going to resolve. There's another LED.
Ponder. He has a lot of Duresses to put back on top of his deck.
Yeah, unfortunately, Eric probably wanted to try to go off this turn. Just because if Dylan gets a hit here, that basically means he can draw 21 cards.
It's 7. Every hit's 7 more cards.
Yeah. So and not only that, but he'll be able to have mana untapped. So Force of Wills are out along with Spell Pierces. So suddenly things just get so much more difficult for Eric if he allows Dylan to untap. But I'm just not sure he has anything else. Like, he doesn't really have any other options, I don't think. Yeah, he has a bunch of ponders. He has a ponder. Looks like there's like a Taxian Probe in there, a couple of LEDs, but doesn't really have any of his combo pieces, so he's forced to just pass the turn and accept his fate.
His fate, he'll be hit by a 7/7 demon. That'll drop him to 12, Dylan up to 23. It's at least 7 cards for Dylan, probably 14.
So let's see here. He doesn't have another land to play here, so I would expect him to at least draw 7 here just so you can get a land.
Yeah,
It looks like he's going to ponder instead, but I don't know if you want to ponder knowing you can draw into Spell Pierces.
Yeah, I would think you would not ponder. If you, I mean, well, this is a Christmas land situation, but if you just start drawing 7, you never know. Well, you could hit a red mana source, a sneak attack, and okay, he's already attacked this turn. But there's a lot of, yeah, blue mana seems like the key thing right here.
So it looks like Dylan's just afraid of tendrils, unnaturally drawn tendrils. He thinks that might be one of the few ways he can lose this game. So he doesn't want to get too low.
To be fair, if he needs 7 cards, he can draw 7 cards. That's not.
Oh, that's true. The question is whether or not he wants to just use it on his turn so that he can actually make his land drop as opposed to having to tap mana to ponder for it.
Right. If on next turn he can find 1 more mana source and a sneak attack, he can go for the full combo. He can sneak Emrakul in, and that'll be a lethal swing. And that to me seems like something that digging for is perfectly reasonable. If Dylan can do that on his own turn.
Yeah, especially if Eric passes and Dylan knows he's going to get another attack with Grizzlebrand, he might be a little more comfortable with drawing some more cards now because he knows he's going to be able to gain. He's guaranteed to gain 7 life, even if he doesn't hit the sneak attack.
Yep. Eric's going to start with a ponder. We see a couple of LEDs, and this is, if you're Eric, this has got to be the turn. He doesn't really have the cards he would want to start the combo, but this is the hand he was dealt. I think he's going to try to play it out.
Yeah, he's got Duress, so Duress is going to be one option for him. If he can draw Cabal Therapy, that'd be great because he's casting a Taxian Probe here.
Right, Probe, yep. Force of Will, blue card, Emrakul. And Eric knows now what he's up against, and it's not pleasant for him.
Yeah, so with Flooded Strand, Ancient Tomb up, he knows that Dylan's going to be able to Intuition for sneak attack, and then all he needs to do is have 1 red source be on top of his 8 cards of his library, and he'll be able to win with the Emrakul that turn.
That seems reasonable that he would hit that.
Actually, technically, it has to be in the top 21 cards of his library.
Oh, 14. If he shocks
If
he shocks for Ancient Tomb, he can only Gristlebrand twice.
So there has to be a red source on the top 15 cards of Dylan's library for him to win next turn.
All right. Well, how many does he play?
That is quite the fair deck, I gotta say.
Yeah. This is the fair deck in the matchup. You said it yourself.
Yeah, the fair deck is the one attacking with the 7/7 lifelink demon right now.
And we're saying he can only draw 14.
He can only draw 14 a turn.
This is one of the reasons when I've talked with players who just get into the game, they say they watch a SCG Legacy Open and they're like, these decks look terrifying. It's turn 2 and he's drawing 14 cards. It's like, yeah, Legacy's a crazy format.
Well, how stupid is it that Dylan has a Grizzlebrand in play and he's actually has to play cautiously?
He's playing like I only have a Grizzlebrand. I better not lose this game. Oh,
his opponent mulliganed to 6. He went turn 2 Grizzlebrand. He attacked with it even once, and he still has to play cautiously because there is a chance that Eric could just win out of nowhere.
I mean, because Eric has 2 lands in play. Let's be honest. That's quite a threat.
That is a threat.
He's scared of losing to a deck which has 2 lands.
Yeah.
That's like, oh man, he could kill me.
So it didn't look like Dylan drew. Yeah, Dylan did not get a permission spell. He did not get either a Spell Pierce or a Force of Will in his hand.
All right, and draw for the turn is City of Traders.
So he just drew the sneak attack though, so you can actually sack that, get the Volcanic Island.
So he didn't actually end step Intuition for the sneak attack. He just drew the sneak attack. That seems fine.
Yeah, which seems fine because again, if he wanted to, he could use the Intuition to kind of find another Force.
He was gonna draw 7 anyway at some point, so maybe lead with the draw 7. See if you need to make the play.
So Dylan here, it looks like he's gonna win. He knows Eric's deck list. He knows Eric really doesn't have any way to interact with this play. So it looks like he has a Scalding Tarn as well. So he can go Scalding Tarn, sacrifice it, get a Volcanic Island, place Sneak Attack, and then activate it to put the Emrakul into play.
When you're playing against Ant, your own turns are actually pretty. Those are relaxing turns. You know, Eric's not going to do anything during Dylan's turn. It's Eric's turns that are terrifying.
Yeah, that's the turns where you have to think.
All right. So game one goes to Dylan Jones. A couple things in his favor. He is on the play. You said he's the slower deck, but that game he had the fast start for the slow deck, and that was enough to take game one for Sneak and Show player.
Yeah, he had, turn 2 show and tell. That's exactly what you need. And in particular, it was the Grizzlebrand.
Yeah, originally it was going to be the
yeah.
Emrakul. We're thinking, that might not be enough, but Grizzlebrand, he is still the premier creature to get into play.
Yep.
And that shows why.
So great start there for Dylan. After board though, Eric does have some options available to him. He has another Cabal Therapy he can bring in. He's got one Caracas that we've seen BBD play before. So that allows him to kind of deal with some of those hyper show and tell hands that we saw. And he also has, a couple surgical extractions, which might be relevant, along with the defense grid.
So before we continue on in the matchup, though, a lot of people at home are wondering why we're back to the booth. Why are we not in the match? And that is because we're going to give away more Star City Games Premium. We are in the semifinals. That'll be 6 months of Star City Games Premium. Once again, to win it, you have to correctly answer the trivia question we're going to give you with the hashtag SCG Premium on your tweet. You can see that hashtag at the bottom of the screen. And for 6 months, what do we have for him?
Okay, so what is the name of there is an instant in Eric Rill's Ant list, and it's popular in a lot of Ant lists. It is 2 black, 3 colorless instant, and it is a one of in Eric's list. What is the name of that instant?
All right, so 3 black, 2. You said
2 black, 3 colorless. It's sort of
one of instant.
It's sort of the engine of the deck, so to speak.
It's an engine of the deck, if you know. Yeah. So
yeah. What is that? What is it called? What is that called in the Ant deck?
All right.
What is the name of that card?
All right. If you know the answer, correctly tweet it at us with the hashtag SCG Premium. At the end of the top 4, we will announce our winner. And remember, we will be giving away also 1 year's worth of Star City Premium during the finals.
Yeah, and if you don't know the answer off the top of your head, feel free to cheat. Go to StarCityGames.com. You can look at the deck lists. And you can look at his deck list if you want to cheat. It's
if
allowed.
You want to cheat.
Cheating is allowed. And again, this is not a speed game. All answers will be reviewed. So just find the answer and tweet us at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium.
All right, so going back to the match, you were talking about the sideboard from Eric Rill's perspective.
Yeah, so it's good for him here because he knows what Dylan is going to bring in. So he doesn't have to worry about cards like Leyline of the Void, so he doesn't have to bring in cards like Echoing Truth. So that's actually kind of huge for him. He has 1 copy of Defense Grid, which could come in here. Obviously, it kind of shuts down all the Force of Will, Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm possibilities. He has another copy of Cabal Therapy, which can come in. He also has 4 copies of Dark Confidant, which I think, BBD was talking about this card. He liked bringing it in against decks with a lot of permission because it kind of forces their hand. And I saw BBD bring it in against the Sneak and Show deck, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Eric do the same here, along with that Caracas.
Well, when you're sideboarding with Ant, you start from the viewpoint of you don't need a sideboard at all. Like the Ant deck, its game 1 plan is excellent. It's a really streamlined deck. But then you think, okay, well, what is Dylan going to board in? What's Sneak and Show going to board in? So we start there. Sneak and Show has Flusterstorm and Swan Song, along with a Pyroblast. Those are the cards which we have to assume those will come in. Probably even a pair of Graph Digger's cages could come in. That does stop Past in Flames from working. It can't be flashed back. So up to about 6 cards that Dylan can board in the matchup. And then when you're in Ant deck, you have to reevaluate. Okay, if that's what the hate is, do I need Dark Confidant if he's gonna have so much permission? Do I need Defense Grid to get through some of these instants? And you were saying, you've seen before, Dark Confidant is the direction that they want to go.
Well, the reason I kind of like Dark Confidant and Cabal Therapy is because Dark Confidant serves 2 roles. One, it can kind of make sure you make your land drops. It can kind of draw you into your combo pieces. But at the same time, you're now a deck after board playing against a combo deck with 4 Dark Confidant, 4 Gataxian Probe, 4 Duress, 4 Cabal Therapy. I mean, that alone could be good enough to kind of stop Sneak and Show, or at least buy you enough time for your combo to go off. So the question is, do you want to give up some of your speed for a little more robustness? And I think in this particular matchup, that's fine because it's kind of hard to fight through cards like Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, Swan Song, Force of Will, when you don't necessarily have to. And a card like Cabal Therapy is so good in a deck that already has Gitaxian Probe along with Duress. So I don't know. I kind of think if you're going to bring in that extra Cabal Therapy, why not bring in the Dark Confidence? You're going to slow yourself down a little bit, but you're going to make yourself a lot more powerful against a deck that, you know, has a hard time dealing with hand disruption.
All right. So Eric will get to be on the play this game. One of the things that what I'm wondering is whether or not his sideboard plan would change depending on the play or draw. He can disrupt Dylan's combo deck. At the same time, it's almost like he only wants to disrupt it to get the hate cards out of Dylan's hand. I feel like on the plays, you said, Eric, a turn, maybe 2 turns faster as a combo deck. There's probably some value into just trying to win, just trying to be fast.
If Eric was on the draw, he might just want to be as fast as possible. Because again, Dylan is slower, but as we saw in game 2, he is capable of doing some pretty broken things early on. So I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to not go with the Dark Confidant plan in game 3 if he ends up getting 2. Because again, being on the draw, you kind of want to be as fast as possible. So maybe you just bring in that 1 defense grid, 1 Caracas, and then maybe 1 Cabal Therapy. So it looks like Eric is comfortable with his opening 7 this time around. Dylan, looks like Dylan is thinking about it too, and he is as well. So both players are going to keep, and we're going to see Cabal Therapy lead, Gitaxian Probe leading off with Eric.
So for Dylan's hand, we actually do see most of the combo there. He does have, he has a sneak attack along with 2 Ancient Tombs and a pair of Griselbrands. So he's got that going for him. He also has a Swan Song for permission. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad. Now that I look at it, it's not that bad actually. Potentially he can go turn 3 sneak attack and then activate it next turn. He also has Swan Song as a way to some permission. So pretty reasonable hand there.
He's going to punch himself a lot with those lands.
It's very bad against Cabal Therapy and Gitaxian Probe, but fortunately Eric doesn't have the Cabal Therapy. He just has a Duress, which is still pretty good here. It takes a sneak attack.
Yeah, Dylan left with 2 Griselbrands and no way to put them into play as of yet. He does have the Swan Song, though. You see Scalding Tarn as the play for Dylan Jones.
So Dylan, looks like he does have a Ponder, at least in his hand. So, oh, no, it's a Brainstorm.
All right, so we'll see Brainstorm let off from Eric Rill.
Ooh, and there's that 1 of Defense Grid.
Well, that's a typically pretty good card. I mean, Eric doesn't do anything on Dylan's turn, so Defense Grid certainly is something he always wants to play. Against Dylan's hand, it turns off the Swan Song, so that's...
But Swan Song can actually hit it.
No, it turns off the Swan Song if he wants to play it later. Well, and actually, because of all these Ancient Tombs, I'm not positive it turns off Swan Song. It just makes Swan Song hurt a lot.
Yeah.
You know, Dylan can pay the 3 extra mana to cast it, given the cards he has, but... Giving your opponent 2/2, taking 4. Eventually, you have to watch how many life points you give away.
Yeah, you don't want to naturally get killed by drawn tendrils there.
Just tendrils to you.
So let's see here. Looks like Eric searched out an Underground Sea here. And not sure what else. I think he might still have a Ponder in his hand. So we still might see a Ponder here.
And that is exactly it. We see there is another Gitaxian Probe. He's going to lead off on Ponder here.
Yeah, so it looks like Eric's hand is Lion's Eye, Brainstorm, and Gitaxian Probe.
All right, so a lot of pieces. All that hand is really waiting for is an Infernal Tutor, especially with all these Gitaxian Probes and cantrips that are going to fill the graveyard.
Yep.
So once he finds one of those, he will be off to the races. He does not seem to find one in his top 3 cards.
But it looks like he is going to keep them. And... I think we're going to pass back to Dylan this turn.
Yeah. And keeping them because he'd already played them that turn means he'll draw 2 of them.
Is that a Cabal Therapy or a Surgical Extraction? I can't tell. It looks like a black card, but it was a foil black card, so it's possible to be a Cabal Therapy. It could be a Surgical Extraction. Not sure. But either way, both those cards could be... Either one of those cards is going to be huge.
Yeah, I think the danger with the... just drawing Infernal Tutor is that he does know that Dylan has a Swan Song. So he's going to lead off on his Gitaxian Probe. This is interesting that he's playing that here. I suppose he doesn't have a shuffle. This means he's going to draw all the cards that Ponder found. And Dylan has just drawn lands and more lands that play a City of Traders.
So there's that Cabal Therapy. He's going to cast Cabal Therapy. And this is perfect because if Dylan does Swan Song it, he's going to get a 2/2 flyer. So then he can just sack it to flashback Cabal Therapy.
So, for those of you wondering, Swan Song is actually a particularly poor card at countering Cabal Therapy. Oh no, he's going to do it. That's
All right. So I got rid of your. I got rid of your.
why would
That's bad now because
I don't
now.
think you're supposed to make that play.
No, I think he actually named. I think he might have named Swan Song.
Oh, okay. All right.
Did he? Oh no,
No,
he didn't.
no. Okay, I'm pretty sure that count.
Yeah,
I don't
so
think
now-
you're supposed to make that play.
Yeah, you can't make that play because now you
Well,
can.
it's just worse.
Now
You
you
just
can.
lose all your cards.
You lose Swan Song and your Grizzlebrand.
Yeah, I mean you're just losing the Swan Song or losing the Gristlebrands by doing that.
And why not? Well, he doesn't necessarily have to go after Grizzlebrands right here.
Well, I mean that's right. So maybe he doesn't get the Gristlebrands, but if he doesn't get the Gristlebrands, that's only because he doesn't want to get the Gristlebrands.
Yeah. If he decides not to, but not sure you want to. Your hand isn't that stacked just yet. You might lose to. You still might lose to. A top deck show and tell or a top deck sneak attack possibly.
Yeah. So Brainstorm from Eric with an uncracked fetch land, and he's getting up to 3 lands in play. That's a fair amount of lands already for Ant.
Yeah, and he still has that defense grid. So, Eric might choose to just let the Grizzlebrands stay, knowing that he's going to try to go off next turn, and he wants to make sure Cabal Therapy can hit Force of Will. But the problem with that is that there's a diversity of cards that he has to worry about. He has to worry about Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce potentially can disrupt him.
Well,
But
if Dylan
he
just
still has the
draws,
defense grid.
if Dylan
though.
just draws Show and Tell, he's going to get a Gristlebrand into play.
Yeah,
I think you just have to take these Gristlebrands.
yeah, I think so too.
So he's going to go ahead and put some cards back and then crack the fetch land.
Or he might just go off this turn.
Well, that
That is
certainly could be
another option
true.
because he does have an LED. I'm not sure how stacked his hand is, but he has the potential to go off this turn depending on what he was able to draw.
Well, cracking that main phase to me seems to suggest that he wants to go off this turn.
Yeah, so he looks like he has a Ritual Cabal. Yeah, your Ritual Cabal Therapy LED. So he has plenty of mana. Does he have the
tutor.
Infernal Tutor?
So we have a Dark Ritual, a Cabal Therapy. Remember, this turn we've so far have had we have had a Swan Song, a Cabal Therapy, a Dark Ritual, a Cabal Ritual, and spell number 5 is Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yeah,
Well,
looks like
there
he
was actually, sorry, that's spell 6. There was a Jataxian Probe, I believe, to start this turn.
has- So what is the last spell in his hand here? Yeah, and he can still flashback Cabal Therapy as well, though. So yeah, it looks like Gataxian Probe was cast.
Ponder.
Ponder.
I missed a Brainstorm. So it's Jataxian Probe, Cabal Therapy, Swan Song, Brainstorm, Ritual, LED, Ad Nauseam. So Ad Nauseam is spell number 8.
And there is 1 black mana left in his mana pool.
And we'll see with that on the stack whether or not Eric wants to go ahead and crack Lion's Eye Diamond. If he does, all he'll need to find is a Tendrils and a Ritual of some sort.
Yeah, so we might see this getting sacked for 3 red here, potentially. He has 1 black left in his pool.
Yeah, it could be 3 red is probably what we'll see it get sacked. Well, it could also be 3. It could be 3 of a lot of things. There's different cards
Oh,
to do
looks
it.
like he's just going to let it resolve. So
Yeah.
you can easily hit like Lotus Petals or a Dark Ritual.
So this is a value. He's not playing to win this turn. He's going to win the next turn. That's what's likely here.
Well, he can still win this turn. There's a Lotus Petal.
We need a lot of Lotus Petals now to win.
And there's the Ritual.
Dark.
So if he draws Infernal
draws
Tutor, he wins.
Infernal Tutor or Tendrils, he's going to win. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He's down to 10, down to 8. Sorry,
So-
7.
Yeah, he can still go.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's down to 7.
There's the Infernal Tutor. So he
5.
should be able to win this
that
turn.
should do
now.
it. I wonder if he's ever gonna. Is he gonna flash back?
I would like to see the
I'd like to see that.
flashback.
I'd like to see the flashback. Be like, by the way, that bird you gave me.
Actually, he doesn't want to give it away.
He doesn't want to. Because maybe doing it again next game.
I would not give that away. Yeah, do not flashback Cabal Therapy at all.
Like, no, I'm being like, man, that was a 6 Swan Song. Fortunately, I had the ad nauseum, but.
He has that Lotus Petal. He can still play a Lotus Petal. He has a Cabal Ritual as well. So he's going to have 6 mana in his mana pool.
Yep.
He can cast Infernal Tutor. In response, he can actually sack that Lion's Eye Diamond. He get Hellbent, just search for Tendrils and cast Tendrils.
Throwing out a Lotus Petal for good measure.
So yeah, it looks like players are just adding up to make sure the storm count is high enough. I think we're well above 10 at this point.
Oh, yeah. We are doing just fine here. He goes down to 5 to cast Cabal Therapy. He's going to cast one from his hand, naming Gristlebrand. It's very cheeky.
Good.
Good. He's like, oh, I drew another one.
Nice job, Eric.
It's a lot of land there for Dylan.
And Eric just
Should have the win here.
all he has to do is cast Inferno Tutor.
All right, Inferno Tutor, mana on.
Sack
Sack,
the lands.
LED, there goes the whole hand. That's easily enough mana for tendrils to happen. And all he has to do is show the tendrils from his deck, and that should be enough. And Dylan corrects it to 6. And there we go. Tendrils of Agony, that'll be enough, and we are on to game 3.
So Eric Rill manages to win on turn 3. And Dylan, not going to say it was a bad hand, but a little questionable. I mean, especially if you're on the draw there.
Well, the hand certainly is weak to duress. When we actually saw his hand, we thought it was pretty good. It was, 2 Gristlebrands, so it's kind of like a 6-card hand. It was 2 Gristlebrands, Sneak Attack, Swan Song, and then 3 lands that made 5 mana.
Yeah, in hindsight, I think the hand was just too bad. I mean, especially if you're on the draw, it's too slow of a hand. Plus, your opponent has 4 duress, 4 Cabal Therapy probably after board. That hand is really bad against that type of card.
All right, I have a question for you. If a hand of Sneak Attack with 2 soul lands and a counterspell and a monster is too slow, then what is Sneak Attack just too slow in this matchup? Because that's about as fast as Sneak Attack goes.
I'm not going to say it's too slow, but it's just, it is. It's just too slow sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
that's effectively a turn 3 kill.
Right,
But it's not
that's
even a
as-
kill. It
that's as
basically
fast as
reloads
Sneak
your
Attack
hand.
goes.
No, not necessarily. I mean, the fastest Sneak Attack goes is turn 1
pedal.
Grizzlebrand.
Okay,
Pedal,
yeah, pedal,
Ancient
pedal,
Tomb,
pedal.
Grizzlebrand.
Yeah.
That's the best. That's the fastest thing that Dylan can do to kind of assure himself a victory, or at least come close to it. Turn 3 Sneak Attack is not really ideal there because he still needs a Lotus Petal to even activate it. So Eric Rill now, he's going to be on the draw for game 2. We did not see Dark Confidant, and he did reveal a number of cards off ad nauseum. So I wonder if he just didn't even bother. We definitely saw Surgical Extraction. And, we didn't see Surgical. I'm sorry. The foil card was Dark Ritual. So we definitely saw the Defense Grid. So it's possible that he just decided his deck is fast enough because he doesn't have to contend with Leyline of Sanctity. He kind of knows what he has to deal with. So maybe he just wants to stay as fast as possible and win with cards like Cabal Therapy and Defense Grid.
Certainly, it took one of the fastest openings from Dylan to get game 1. Remember, he had to, on the play, have a turn 2 show and tell, and it had to be Gristlebrand, not Emrakul. A lot of things had to go Dylan's way.
Yeah, if you think about it, he needed turn 2 show and tell. It had to be a Grizzlebrand, and he needed Force of Will backup.
Yeah. So I think if you're Eric, you may just keep your original configuration and figure, lightning has to strike twice. He got it once. Challenge him to do it again.
Yeah, his deck doesn't really get that much better against you after board. He has 2 Swan Songs and a Flusterstorm. I mean, that's basically it. He's basically bringing in 3 cards. You're bringing in maybe 1 Defense Grid. That's probably comparable to given how bad a matchup it is for Dylan. So I think, Eric, I agree with you. I think it's probably unnecessary to kind of bring in a card like Dark Confidant. It's probably more for blue fair decks, really. Kind of grind them out. Guys that play, cards like Rest in Peace and other cards like that. Dylan really doesn't have any super hateful cards. He just has permission.
Absolutely. So we are on to game 3. Winner here will go to the finals. On the other side of the bracket, we do have a match. This is Rug Delver, piloted by Taylor Scott, versus Elves, piloted by Thomas Graves. So 3 unfair decks. As we said, 3 combo decks and a lone Rug Delver deck making up our top 4 here.
Yeah, so are we going to see 2 unfair decks in the finals or a fair deck versus unfair deck? I think it's only fitting to see unfair versus fair in the finals to declare once and for all who is the victor.
Well, if you give Rug Delver the play, I like Rug Delver in just about any matchup.
I'd say Rug Delver against Ant is probably pretty good. Rug Delver against Sneak and Show, that's a lot closer.
Yeah. The break has been established, though. Thomas Graves and Elves is currently up a game in the matchup. So Rug's going to have to win one on the draw.
Wow. So Dylan Jones has to mulligan his first hand. Looks like Eric is the buy, and he's going to keep. So as far as the other match, Thomas Graves winning game 1, that's huge here because it's going to be tough for him to win after board because he has to. Taylor has. He has those 2 Fork Bolts made. He has 4 Lightning Bolts. He's going to be able to bring in Submerge. He also has Rough and Tumble. That card is really huge.
Huge against Elves. It's actually a real sweeper against the deck. One of the advantages I think that Elves has is that very few decks in Legacy actually play sweepers.
Yeah.
A lot of their removal, the best removal, the cheapest removal is 1-for-1. So if you just play out a bunch of 1/1s, sometimes that can be really hard.
Yeah.
But Delver of Secrets does have an answer to that.
Yeah, so the key for elves in that matchup, they really kind of got to grind out that matchup with Wirewitch Symbiote and Elvish Visionary, at least for the early turns, and then kind of just dump a massive elves when they think it's ready.
All right, Dylan Jones on a 6-card hand. We'll see if he has kept here. Looks like he has, and we are underway. Game 3, the semifinals of our Legacy Open here in Nashville.
Ooh, Eric leads off with probably the best card in this deck in this matchup, Gataxian Probe.
Well, Dylan, he did it. He did it. He had it again. All right,
Wow.
so this is the turn 2 Show and Tell into Gristlebrand. It's in Dylan's hand. That is all it has.
Not only is it turn 2 Show and Tell, but he has Spell Pierce protection from Cabal Therapy or Duress. That is actually the ideal.
This is a great
mulligan to 6.
So, Rill's going to need something like Therapy, Lotus Petal, Duress.
Yeah.
Oh, man. This is going to be really difficult for Eric.
Or he might just go like Underground Sea, Lion's Eye Diamond, Cabal Therapy.
Well, he drew a second therapy off that. Which attacks him, bro. He does have land therapy in his hand already. The question is, does he have the pedal? He actually might have the double therapy.
He's got Lion's Eye Diamond.
Oh gosh, Wait, so he has LED.
So basically, what happens is he plays LED, okay?
Right.
Then he goes, tap my Underground Sea, Cabal Therapy you. In response, Dylan probably Spell Pierces it. Then he basically has to sack his Lion's Eye Diamond, pay for the Spell Pierce, and then name Gristlebrand.
Oh God, he's gonna use LED to pay for Spell Pierce.
Well, if you think about it,
it's not even that bad.
It's not the worst.
Play.
Like you can't afford to let.
No, you have to disrupt it.
Oh wow! So it looks like he's just gonna lead with it.
Leading with therapy. Yeah, let's do it. Spell Pierce. Oh, he didn't. You're right. So does he have a pedal? Can he do this, or is it?
No, I don't think he has a pedal. No.
I like your line. I think he did have to make that play.
Well, again,
is that right?
It's not a great play. It's just something he could have done.
Can he win this?
Well, I think because he has another therapy and Duress in his hand, I think his thinking is, yes, I can power through this. But the way that Dylan's been playing this, he's been playing it really smart because he doesn't draw the cards until he absolutely has to. So the discard in Eric's hand really isn't going to be effective.
Yeah, there is an Infernal Tutor LED package in Eric's hand.
Yeah, but the thing is,
you can't disrupt it because he just draws all the cards at instant speed.
He draws the cards when you're trying to combo. So that's the problem with Eric's plan here is that once the Grizzlebrand's in play, you're basically hoping that he bricks on Force of Will, which isn't unreasonable, but
14 cards.
It's a lot of cards that he's going to get. And you really don't have a lot of ritual effects either. That's the other problem.
No,
his hand is a very grindy type hand, but there's really not much for him to do where he can go off on turn 2.
I'm gonna go back and say I think the LED play came up with was exactly right, as disgusting as that sounds.
Well, the LED play basically means I just have an Underground Sea in play and nothing else, whereas you have an island, Ancient Tomb, City, and Show and Tell. So it's still really bad for him.
Would you take the Gristlebrand's or would you take the Show and Tell?
I think. Oh, you know what?
You could take either. I actually think you take the Show and Tell.
Well,
I mean.
Yeah, maybe you take Show and Tell there. I don't know.
Either.
It's tough.
They're both there. I mean, you're in a bad spot.
I think you take Grizzlebrand just because if he draws Sneak Attack, that's another option. So I think you probably still take Grizzlebrand.
And we'll see a Duress. Sure, Dylan's fine with Duress. Brainstorm's gone.
This is the problem here with Eric. Like,
his disruption is no good here.
One, he really doesn't have a hand that allows him to go off this turn, and two, you can't really go off even with those discard spells because Dylan's just not going to draw cards until he has to.
Yeah, draws another card. Yeah, hit for 7. Dylan's up to 25. Eric down to 10. And I can't see Eric powering through this anymore. It's just 3 Gristlebrand activations, 21 cards. So he'll start out by drawing 7 after gaining the 7 life. So like you said, once again, a really conservatively played Gristlebrand.
Yeah, and again, I like this just because he wants to make his land drops and because he drew a Pyroblast. So he wants to be able to actually cast it this turn, which he didn't.
Pyroblast, Force of Will, blue card, all drawn off the first Gristlebrand. And that's a nightmare for Eric.
Yeah, so now he can play Scalding Tarn, he can play Lotus Petal. He's got Pyroblast, he's got Force of Will, he's got Brainstorm to hide the Force of Will if he needs to, and then draw it off the Grizzlebrand.
He could even, right here, he has sneak attack. He could, next turn, he can go ahead and fish for that Emrakul.
Yeah, I mean, the game's basically over on Dylan's next turn.
So Eric is going to have to combo off this turn. On our other match, Taylor Scott won to be able to take game 2 on the play, so he's evened it up at 1 against Thomas Graves. But the real challenge for him is he's going to have to win game 3 on the draw against Elves.
So it looks like Infernal Tutor is going to reveal Lion's Eye Diamond, and that is what it's going to get. So now Eric has double Lion's Eye Diamond, but again, very difficult to go through now. I mean, Dylan has that Force of Will.
And a Pyroblast.
But he can also draw 14 cards. So not really sure Eric's going to be able to pull this one out. And he doesn't even have black mana to kind of... Yeah, so he's just going to pass here. And Dylan's probably just going to draw...
14.
Yeah, he could actually just brainstorm here. Yeah, he's probably going to brainstorm here, try to just be a little conservative.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe... I mean, let's start with the conservative option. But he has a lot of chances to find Emrakul here.
Yeah, and there it is. So now the game's over. He's going to put 2 Grizzlebrands on top of his library. He can sack Scalding Tarn to get the second red source. And now he has access to 5 mana, which is exactly enough for Sneak Attack, activate Sneak Attack, put an Emrakul into play. So pretty good mulligan there for Dylan.
That was the 6-card
hand. It was
hand.
literally the perfect 6-card hand he needed.
Well, it had a second Grizzlebrand. That's no good. So he could have even had a 5-card hand there.
That's true, yeah. I guess the perfect one would have been like Force of Will. Or like maybe Brainstorm or something. Brainstorm's probably, yeah, Brainstorm Grizzlebrand is probably better than double Grizzlebrand, in fairness. So yeah, all Dylan has to do is just show the Sneak Attack and Emrakul.
And this will do it. He draws for the turn. Has the land, has the Sneak Attack, has the Emrakul. He knows there are no plays that Eric can make on his turn. This should be good enough. You see there, 4 mana. That will be good enough for Sneak Attack. And the red mana to activate it. He's going to go ahead and just make sure that all is well here.
And I genuinely don't understand why these players are taking so long.
There's some players like, no, dude, he's got it. He's just
show the Emrakul.
Yes, you have Emrakul. All right. And it's the Dream Team. They swing across, and that should be a lethal attack on Eric.
The Super Friends come over.
Yeah. The fair deck. It's just creatures. It's using the attack stuff. Swing for 22.
That is quite fair. This is exactly what Mark Rosewater had in mind.
Fair deck. All right.
Two giant, monstrous creatures flying through the air.
In tandem, blowing up all the permanents.
Holding hands, blowing up permanents, drawing cards, cats and dogs living together.
All right, and there's the handshake. Dylan Jones 2-1 defeats Eric Rill, and he will move on to the finals where he awaits the winner of Taylor Scott and Thomas Graves.